Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft. Whether your beer is in a...
Hello and welcome to Better on Draft, episode 384. We will be talking to Stephen, who you might see on the stream currently. But first, I'm going to go to Wendy and say, hey, Wendy, how are you doing? What are you drinking?
I am doing fantastic this morning, or this afternoon, I guess. I'm a little off the sunshine behind me. I am drinking Into the Labyrinth, number 35, an experimental IPA from Waxwings Brewing Company in Kalamazoo.
I know quite a few people love Waxwings, and I don't think I've visited them yet, but I do need to find some of their stuff.
They are amazing, and they were on our show too. I don't know the episode off the top of my head, but
okay,
they have been on the show.
As for myself, I am currently drinking a Qualified, which is my letter Q as I drink the alphabet this month of February.
Not jealous at all.
Beautiful Q. People know that Winterfest happened, and I drank, what did I start with? The letter D. I got D through O at Winterfest, and I was not going out of my way to find letters at that thing. So, but with us today, we have Stephen from Design OPA or OPA Design Studio.
OPA Design Studio, yeah.
OPA Design Studio. So, hi, Stephen. How are you?
Good afternoon. Drinking training binds from Pine House Pizza down here in Austin. It's a hazy IPA. A lot of people know they're electric jellyfish. Training binds happens to be my personal favorite of the two hazies. It's a little lighter bodied, but it goes down well.
Okay, you mentioned electric jellyfish, and yes, I immediately knew who you were talking about then.
Yeah, they make a few of those. Kind of their rocket ship that they got to ride. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
So, Stephen, you are with Design Studio OPA out of Austin, is that correct?
Or OPA Design Studio.
Sorry, OPA Design Studio.
The confusion is many years ago when I was hunting for the website when I was starting the company, OPA Design was taken. And I was like, well, that stinks. And I'm not going to pay $5,000 for it. And so Design OPA became, the web address, but occasionally that, a little word dyslexia kind of messes things up.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So you are based out of Austin, is that correct?
Yeah. Our firm's here. We got 9 of us on staff, and been around since 2008. And but we're working on maker type projects around the country have taken us now kind of far and wide, and so we get to meet a lot of the brewing industry in multiple states, which is a fun task to kind of take on.
Okay. And I guess to kind of like slowly ease into this, what brought you to craft beer, or why would you want to design for craft beer?
Who wouldn't want to design for craft beer? Yeah, I feel like it's been the luckiest happy accident of my life as far as, at least professionally. I grew up in St. Louis, and when I was in college at the University of Texas, my parents moved to Munich, and I had the enviable flights several times a year to Munich and get to hang out with mom and dad and go visit the beer gardens and just immerse myself in beer garden culture and see it in a way that few Americans ever, get the chance to explore. And then fast forward several years later, as I'd already started my architecture firm in Austin, and around 2012, or 2011 or 12, a client knocked on our door and said, I need help trying to recruit a brewery to my property. Can you talk to these guys? And I was like, sure. And they're like, do you know anything about breweries? And I'm like, I've been in them a lot, but I've never designed one. And so got to meet the owners, and they were looking to create their first facility. And it was just a very happy relationship, learned a lot from them. And in the course of designing their facility, the craft beer boom was still very much in its infancy, or at least around Austin. It was kind of the first phase of the craft beer boom, and they recommended my name to 2 or 3 others, Live Oak, and I got to learn a lot from Chip over there, and I just became a sponge of like all the issues that are important to designing these facilities. And also simultaneously, I was chair of the City of Austin Planning Commission, and so state law changed to allow for taproom sales, and before 2014, we didn't have that, and so got to help craft some new zoning laws in the city to allow for a tap room to be built. The laws weren't perfect to start with, and they still aren't. They still, the state and the city still don't understand what a brewery really is when they're writing zoning. But it just kind of put our firm in an interesting kind of crosshairs of knowledge of where facilities can go, should go, and having designed more than one, we certainly we became a good resource for that.
You said a bunch of nerdy things in there that I kind of want to drill into that are
I'll
unrelated to design. But I'll start with the zoning laws, then I'll let Wendy go ahead. But so this one's near and dear to me because Indianapolis just created our first designated outdoor refreshment area, our DORA, which is extremely interesting here because we don't have laws about outdoor beverages. Like we can walk around with beer and stuff and drink it all we want. We have laws against public drunkenness and things like that. Yeah. But so
not where you can carry.
And so we can open beers and drink and right. So we had no laws against that. But now we have a designated outdoor refreshment area, and I'm not sure what exactly that doesn't seem like a Herculean task to me. I think I figured out what it is that now bars can give you beer to go, whereas before only breweries could give you open containers of beer to go. But now bars in that area can do that. So that is a bit of an advantage, I guess, at that point.
It's amazing. It's amazing the advantages that laws can accidentally or intentionally create for certain businesses. And COVID exposed a lot of those laws. Like, what's a restaurant? It's like, oh, like you can go hang out at a restaurant, but the breweries were closed. And it's like everybody's like, well, I'll serve chips with my beer. Does that make me a restaurant?
Yeah,
there a lot of that was happening, and some of those laws when they got rolled back during COVID never came back, which was perfect because they created unnecessary restrictions, and so there's a lot of work still to do on that front.
So where I want to go though is in Austin, can you walk around with an open beer out on the street?
No.
Okay.
No. There are areas where you can do it, but it's not like uniform across the city. No.
Is that 6th Street, the big party street?
6th Street's a big party street. Yeah. And it's I won't speak poorly of a certain street in my own town. It's not a street I participate on as a local.
I've always left that street whenever I want to find an Uber.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other good streets in Austin for grabbing more than one beer if you wanted to kind of hop from spot to spot.
Yeah, so my tradition is to start at the Bat Bridge, and I have never had luck at the Bat Bridge, unfortunately, with seeing a bat. And then that's right by 6th Street.
What time? Well, are you starting it at dusk, or are the bats all gone, or are they just sleepy?
I've gotten there before dusk before, and really just hung out and nothing happened. And then I've definitely gotten there too late. Usually, I'm coming from work. I haven't gone to Austin for fun yet.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like South by Southwest type stuff.
No, nothing, anything near that much fun. No.
No. I have not gotten to Texas at all yet.
Oh,
it's a big state.
Sad. I'm going to San Antonio in June, but I have not gotten. That's my first visit. I've got quite a few spots that I need to hit.
Yeah. San Antonio's the architecture of San Antonio as a doing what I do. I'm jealous of San Antonio architecture. They've got a lot of cool buildings that need love, and if we could borrow a few of them here, I would definitely like to. All our stuff's too new.
Yeah, my parents are spending their winter, in Corpus Christi right now.
Okay, nice.
Well, it'll be a little bit warmer there when you arrive than what you've got right now. I was pretty cold on Monday night in Detroit. When I landed, it was chilly.
No.
My layers were not enough. Yeah.
I'm so honestly tired of the winter at this point. My parents call me and they're like, "It's so cold here. It's 50 degrees." And I'm like, "Shut up. 50 degrees. I'm going out in my shorts, you know?"
Yeah. Well, but by Wednesday, it was 35 there. And everybody I was talking to, like, oh, this is so nice. And I was like, it's solid 40 degrees cooler than my home airport. So, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what it entails when you are designing a brewery.
Oh, well, I mean, there's so many different types and kinds. And if it's a mom and pop startup and it's a first time everybody's launching a new brand, which shocking, that doesn't happen as much as it did a few years ago, versus say an expansion or second, third location. We're doing Pine House's sixth location right now, after doing their third, fourth, and fifth. So there are different design issues to tackle for both. You know, it's do people know the type of building they're looking for? We get into all sorts of those conversations, you know, from utilities to access to public perception. How much money do you want to dump into this thing? How much can you get out of it? What's the split? Is this more of a production location? Is this more retail and front of house related, more like brew pub? Is there a kitchen? Right now, you know, we definitely see a lot more steering towards having food on site, but that comes with a cost, and it comes with someone needing to have the passion to do that. But so much of it depends on the knowledge level of those kind of coming to the table. We have to engage teams with a wide range. Like, what consultants do we need to bring to help them? Because I mean, I'm an architect who's done over 50 maker facilities nationwide, but I don't brew. I don't distill. I tried brewing, and that was a comedy at its finest. But
I feel you.
I could try again. I enjoy brewing with people. I enjoy helping them while they do brew, and they do it much better than I do. So from that standpoint, they need to know what they're trying to do. And some people actually start designing breweries not fully sure what their ultimate goal is, but they have a vision in their head. And so we need to try to help them put all those pieces on the table and organize it and get the budgets together and the timelines, and do they have a contractor or not? And it's a long list, and it's never the same project to project, even with repeat clients. So that's part of the fun. And the best part actually is, getting to hang out at our facilities after they're done and like learning again, totally should have thought about that while when you see a line snaking out the door in a way you wish it wouldn't, problems you wish you could have fixed early on. But
that's a good problem.
It is a good problem. I don't know if that was just the tip of the iceberg of your question, though.
That's like a street visibility good thing, the light out the door.
It is kind of a treehouse type problem. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a project that you've worked on that has been what project has been the most fun for you? I guess I want to say.
Oh, see, now the clients that aren't listed are going to be like, "What do you mean I was not the most fun?"
That's not true.
They don't listen. They don't listen to the show.
Which of your children is your favorite? Try it. Yeah, and
exactly.
then tell the children that, and then let
or
the others
give me
compete.
a couple of fun stories then.
Okay. Well, now, I would say I have a small group of favorites, and I can't help but gravitate back to them for different reasons. Not to say We really do try to keep going back to all of our clients' facilities because we want to see what it's like many years later. Have things changed and for what reason? But I do love Pine House, and I think they make great beer. I think their hospitality is extremely good. I enjoy being outside, and we're in a climate that sure it gets really hot sometimes or a lot, and the comfort level of that impacts things. But I love going out to Vista Brewing in Driftwood, just outside of Austin. It's on 30 acres, and just being able to grab. They make really good bread ales and saisons, and I love being able to, grab a glass and just go on a long walk with the dog, with my wife, and just kind of explore some and just get out of the house that way. So I mean, so much of it is experiential over the beer. Meanwhile, is kind of been one of our most successful projects. I don't know if you guys know Meanwhile Brewing. They've opened in right at the October of 20 in an industrial park, and there's a brewery building, a tap room building, 4 food trucks, a soccer field, about a half acre of wooded playground of cedar that has worked out really well. The kids just kind of run and go crazy, and at the same time you have a massive stage where they do shows, and it's a programming dream, I think, for a lot of people, and challenge of how do you make all these things work together? Because you'll have the 1-year-old's birthday party and a Longhorn football game on the big screen, and there is rarely an open spot in their parking lot on 3 acres. So I think they're probably approaching 20,000 barrels in production. So they've done well in the last few years. Those facilities, I'd say I do love. There's others I'm sure I'm forgetting, but yeah.
Those all sound like they have a lot of character and some uniqueness to them, though.
They do, and so much of creating character with a brewery from ground up, it can be a bit of a challenge because people are looking for a big, wide open space without columns that is conducive to an efficient brewing process. When you're building from ground up today and you're making a brewery, odds are you're probably using a metal building, and metal buildings can be a little on the boring side. And so we're always trying to push the limits on what we could do with them. How do we bring interest to something that is kind of a pretty straightforward design vernacular for cities? I wish it was an old CMU building. I wish it was a former auto shop from the 1930s, and you get these cool barrel vaults and wood ceilings and stuff that you see in Asheville or whatever. We don't have as much of that here, but it's the character of the building is something we try to make it memorable, but at the same time we know that efficiency's got to matter as much for them as anything, and not to get too caught up in the aesthetics, while at the same time we're helping create their brand experience. So it's got to be this balance, create a memorable place people want to go back to. And what was a great brewery of 10 years ago versus what is a great brewery today, as far as the experience, it's not the same thing. Not too many people, plenty of people have been to breweries before. They know what one looks like. They know there's the wow factor is probably dropped off some. And so from that standpoint, just to have drinking amongst, the tanks is not as cool as it used to be for the public. They need it to be a good date night. They need the space to do other things besides, nestling up next to some drains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting the taste experience of the various beers and various stages of fermentation. And
yeah. And tours aren't as a big of a deal as they used to for the same reasons.
I really don't think I need another brewery tour.
I
Really,
need
I
someone
love
to.
walking through them and seeing. I mean, it's the same process everywhere you go, but people
Right.
handle things differently, and I love seeing the way that they handle different problems on the spaces that they're in and things like that.
Yeah,
That's the interesting part. Yes.
I'm a little nerdy like that, I guess, though.
Yeah.
yeah. I've been on some tours of our facilities with like the head brewer, and people on the tour will be like, "Wait a minute, I've never had a tour like this before. You guys are talking about things that other brewery tours don't talk about." And they're like, "Yeah, because that's the architect, and he's telling you things that I wouldn't have told you." And it's like
Yeah.
it's okay to expand the conversation besides just the beer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was in Atlanta at some point in the distant past, and the rules there were they didn't have tasting rooms, but they could let you sample beers if you went on a tour. I think New Jersey had or has the same thing. So yes, there would be various levels of tour of this is a brewery to now we will walk the thing, and then now you can have drinks.
Yeah, yeah, and don't trip over that hose while you hold your open container. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, it it varies so much per state, and we're working in Florida at the moment. Done several projects there. We just finished a brewery in Little Rock, one in Sedona. We've got one going up an hour north of you, Wendy. That'll be open this summer, and every state's got its little odd rules, and some cities just have their odd rules. Like city of Houston, you have to put your brew house in a separate room from the rest of the brewery because it's like the kitchen, and so it can't. But and then they all have a garage door that they just leave open all day. So it's like, okay, you build a room just to have a big door.
Yes.
But that's a specific rule for them, and those are things we've got to kind of find out that information quickly when we start working in a town we haven't worked in. Like we've got one under construction in Charleston, and their rules were totally different than just one state away, and that's how it goes.
I always wondered if it was a kind of a rule thing as opposed to just a design thing. I always found it fascinating that in Chicago, a lot of the breweries have the space that opens up in the summertime. They've got the big doors so that it just kind of opens up the whole
Yeah.
space that's in whatever building they're in. And I never understood why we didn't do more of that in Detroit because their weather's not that much different than here. So I've always wondered if that was just a laws thing or
yeah, it may be a Detroit specific rule. Some municipalities might, some cities might look at a brewery space like as this is food processing, and
right.
just kind of like you're not supposed to have your kitchen in a restaurant open to like if you open a bunch of big windows at an indoor outdoor bar in your restaurant and you have an open kitchen, in theory a fly can
Right.
find all its way all the way into the soup. Breweries are by and large closed systems, so it's kind of a non-issue. That being said, I've been in Louisville staring at some huge open mash tanks and thinking that oatmeal could get a fly in it pretty easy.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm sure the loading doors open quite a bit. And there's the ways to work. You can put a bit like one of those big industrial air curtains above a door that can help. But yeah, my experience in the Detroit breweries is like there's not a lot of indoor outdoor stuff kind of going on. A lot of it's very inside, and I guess from a climate perspective, I guess it makes sense.
I don't know. Have you been to Batch Brewery lately?
I have not been to Batch.
You definitely need to go and check it out. They've very much expanded. During COVID, they built the Fauci Fieldhouse.
Okay.
And it's a gigantic space that now has a stage. In the wintertime, they can close it off so that it's heated. They close it off with plastic. And then they expanded over even another parking lot with other open air tables. So there's a lot more going on there. And I've noticed a few more breweries that are kind of opening up. their space
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Well, it's less expensive to have drinks outside in a lot of facilities if you can just make it comfortable. Give shade, give heat. Cost per square foot has not dropped. It's done nothing but go up. So, we're seeing facilities. Once upon a time, it's like, oh, you can't make this building big enough. Like you can't make the system big enough, the building big enough. And I know it made sense at the time, but that just led to some big bills that were really hard to pay, and overhead and all that kind of stuff. It all added up, and being a little more frugal with how big a facility should be, and if you end up being wildly successful in a smaller space, deal with that problem later. Don't necessarily oversize it.
That was actually my next question for you.
Yeah.
Was you take expansion and things like that into consideration when you're trying to come up with a design? Or
We do. We will lay out all the the brewing systems, and I don't design the system itself. Like I'm not a tank maker. I'm not a vendor, but we know what all the equipment does, so we know what the arrangement is supposed to be. We've seen all the the good and bad processes over the years, and so we try to get that flow right, and bring up as much as we can. Like, what happens if you need to bring a 30, 60 barrel vessel in 2 years from now? That are we going to take this window out? Are we craning something in? But let's talk about it now and decide, does that impact how we want to set this up on the first day? I would say a lot of the breweries are not asking that question as much as they used to. So
I would expect that.
Yeah.
I was just noticing Toots McCrog is out in the chats and wished us a happy new year and is drinking something called Two Tides Collards. So I've asked if it's green because those are the main collards I know. But you said you have a space coming in South Carolina. I don't remember which Carolina Toots is in, but it's either south or north.
We're doing Low Tide Brewing's second facility. Well, they're closing the first one. There are new ones under construction. It's massive compared to especially their first one. Low Tide's consistently like #1 brewery in Charleston, but they're out on Johns Island, just outside of Charleston. It'll be a big tap room. We actually have 2 tap rooms and then about 25,000 square feet of production. So they will be scaling up for sure. So if your listener is anywhere near Low Tide, tell them to drop in.
Yeah, excellent. You were talking about small spaces a bit earlier, and I have a reminder to myself that we talked to Berkeley Alley. I think that was last October. It was episode 375, and they had taken over an old space that had a tiny brew area I believe it was the basement, and she just described that having to do like calisthenics to get around the equipment and things and get the equipment down there. So, like, is this a time where someone might call you to get some help and like to sign in the space for that?
Yeah, no, we'd be all ears. That description reminded me of I was given a tour during one of the CBCs in Denver, and we went in some basement in a brewery in Denver. I wish I could remember which one.
It might have been Berkeley Alley because that's where they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It could have been. I mean, I challenge my team sometimes to, like, people are like, oh, it needs this, we have to have this much clearance and this and this. And I'm like, guys, I've seen some crazy stuff. I mean, it doesn't mean you should.
Right.
But like, if you need to cheat an inch and the owner says that's the only way this will work, everybody just needs to sign up for that calisthenics program, because I mean, just stairs in breweries are tricky. Every time I see a brewery that's multiple levels, sometimes I know exactly why. It's like, that's the only way this space would be in this facility. And other times somebody thought it was cool. And I'm like, That's don't do it because you think a multi-level facility looks cool to the public. Like we've got one north of Austin, and it's in a 2-story, 100-year-old brick building, all long, narrow, kind of shotgun space. And the first design, the brewery was upstairs, and the tap room was downstairs. And I told told our clients, I'm like, what will it take to convince you for us to put the brewery downstairs and make the public go upstairs and get an elevator? And he's like, tell me why. And we went through it, and the amount of work it saves on the brewing side, like, and it's that in itself pays for the decision. But I think upstairs people like they think they're going up into a speakeasy, and so there's that elevator was worth the alternate experience that people have. So
yeah, I was thinking dumbwaiter, but an elevator makes sense for the people at least.
Yeah, for the people. Never try to get in a dumbwaiter. If you've seen it in a movie, it's a bad idea. Yeah,
they're not
does not work
for that
out.
weight. For that weight. Yeah, that's why I would want a multi-level facility, though, is just to have a dumbwaiter.
Yeah, why not?
I would want it on full display and everything, so that way people can see stuff spill and
a lot of spilled drinks in a dumbwaiter, I would think.
Yeah.
So, as the architecture, do you just work on the space, or does your team also help with the decoration and things like that?
It depends on the project. Some projects we are selecting every finish. What is the bar top? What does it look like in the bathrooms? By the way, always make nice bathrooms. It changes people's perception of your project. Like, never skimp there.
I don't know if you've ever seen Harpoon's bathrooms in Boston, but they look out, well, the men's room anyway. I don't know about the ladies' room, but when you're using the urinal, there's a window over top and you're looking out over the harbor. It's beautiful.
There you go.
No, I don't remember there being a picture window for us while we were going to the bathroom, but we have a different setup, I'm sure.
Probably.
I will say that is definitely on point. I'm a member of a women's beer organization here in Detroit called the Detroit Draft Divas. And when Witches had opened their new facility, we have a picture of the girls that were there at opening day in the bathroom because we were so excited that there was a women's room at the brewery. Like, it was a thing for a long time that there weren't separate bathrooms. It's amazing
how much social media content you can get from a nice bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, like we don't pick or buy furniture. We a lot of times we'll rent, like, we know how the flow of a space needs to be, and might be recommending like banquettes versus high tops and low tops, or this kind of Godfather table somewhere. But we that's what we don't do. We're not an interior designer from that standpoint, but a lot of our projects, we're picking everything. Others, like we just worked on a distillery outside of Asheville, and all we were doing was creating life safety plans for the fire marshal so that could show that this facility was going to be code compliant, and the owner's family was going to be picking all the finishes, and they already knew what the layout was going to be. So the range of services can be quite different. Yeah.
And you said you were working on something here in Michigan. Can you talk about it?
Maybe. Yeah. No, there are projects where you sign that NDA.
Right?
It's like, how long is this NDA going to be in place? And rightfully so a lot of times. It's called Bottom Creek Brewery. It's for those Michiganders listening. It's about a little over an hour north of Detroit, near Lapeer, and it's a town called North Branch. It's on 500 acres. It's got a 150-acre lake on it. There are buffalo on the property. It is a working farm. You could run a 5K race and get lost in the woods. Don't get lost in the woods, but you could. I'm sure they're going to do programming with, like winter events. You could do cross country skiing and do a lap around the lake and come back to the brewery. Effectively, it's almost like a private state park when it's done. So it's going to be more about, or as much about, the outdoor experience as it's going to be about the brewery. And so have a restaurant, brewery. Eventually they'll do cabins, be about 30 cabins on the property. But it's family owned. It's been in their family for years, and it's definitely a transformation of what to do with this amazing place. It's one of my family's favorite places to go, even before a brewery's there. But it's opening in June, and once a brewery's there, I'm going to have trouble not going for the fun of it. Right now, I get to go for the work of it, and even then, that's a blessing. There's snow all over the ground. It's cold as heck earlier this week, but it's an amazing place to go, like, hang out. I think it's going to be unique for Michigan. I think it's going to be a unique brewery for the country, where most breweries don't get that kind of setting to be in. And it's got to be all about great beer and great bar service, which all great indoor outdoor experience, but maybe you're just in this little space. What if you brought a picnic and went for the entire afternoon, and then you got some evening concert because there's a big stage on the lake. So it's a full day experience, and I think that speaks to a lot about a lot of the changing trends within what is going to make a brewery successful for the next 10 years. It's not going to be what made a successful brewery the last 10 years. There's an evolution there. Not to say there aren't exceptions, and some rules will always be constant. Your beer needs to be good, but what happens if a bunch of people have good beer? Like, why are they choosing one space over another?
That sounds like a very Michigan space, though, with so much outdoor stuff going on. And
well, the winter and summer experience will be dramatically different. So they definitely they'll be needing to kind of figure out their winter program versus their summer program, and why will people want to come multiple times a year? Because when you're a true destination facility, you're solving different problems than if you're the local brew pub.
True story.
I feel like I talked to you about that one at CBC in Indianapolis almost a year ago now. So
Yeah.
How long has this project been going on?
I met the owners in fall of 2020.
Okay.
So the world was doing funny things back then, but we had 2 years of getting through the local planning commission because there was no zoning for a brewery, and so it was within the legal limits of the township, and they're like, all right, what if we create our own zone for this brewery, and what does that mean? And so that was a long road to get to a starting line, but once the starting line was in place, and it was like, okay, let's go, and then you just kind of get normal construction schedule stuff and weird things happening, and
Perfect. And now June 2026. It's right around the corner.
Yeah. So grand opening June 2026, but they're getting closer. They can feel it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
It's got to feel good for you too.
It is, because at least a quarter of the projects we design never happen for whatever reason, whether it's finances or something else. Yeah.
I don't think people really realize how hard it is to actually open a brewery.
Oh yeah. And not for the faint of heart. You got to have patience. Pocket needs to be deeper than you think. And you got to surround yourself with a lot of good people to help make complicated decisions. Yeah.
2020 was a great big wall where I'm not sure how many breweries we've talked to who've said they had plans for expansions or to start expansions in 2020, and some went through, some did not go through for various reasons, just like depending on where they were in the process. It was also when all the construction prices went way up, and
and they didn't come down. I mean, occasional items came down, but it's more like you get these crazy lead times. It take take a year to get like a transformer for your electrical system. And it's like, wait a minute, but this wasn't a problem. But the difference between a brewery that opened a month before or planned to open a month after February of 2020 was nuts, because people, like I had friends and clients who they had their entire team trained, and then they got to let them go. Yeah. And then others that were, about to start, and so glad they didn't, and then just got a long pause, but that long pause had its own problems. So it was, it definitely was a course, I wouldn't say correction, but it was a course definer for a lot of people. And then I know there were some great, like even some great restaurants in Austin that closed during that time. They were just like, we were going to close at some point anyways. This just became a great reason to close.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we didn't have the energy to go through all this. Yeah.
The brewery near me that closed, they had announced, I want to say in December, it might have been January, that they were closing. And they had a planned giant bottle release, and that was going to be the last hurrah. And it was the weekend that things around here started shutting down. So it was, but they had planned it before COVID. Yeah, it's very sad. But we did have a great big party going out.
It's how it's supposed to go. You got to have a good going away party. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to name names, but we talked about growth. And are there breweries that come to you with a growth plan that you just look at and say, yeah, there's no way, or like?
I was asked by one of my clients a couple of years ago. That local Austin brewery does very well, and but even them, they struggle at times. They're trying to figure out how to make sense of, what is 2026 for craft beer. And the owner asked me, as we were wrapping up construction of their second facility, which was their bigger production facility. The first one was, kind of the local neighborhood tap room with a 15 barrel system, and it squeezed everything they could out of that space. But he asked me, he's like, Steve, do you tell people no? And, he was the first one of my clients who asked me that, like in the beer industry. And I was like, yeah, I do. I didn't used to, like when 2015, 16, like when we were still doing our first several breweries, and we just started doing distilleries too. I didn't have the context. I didn't have the full knowledge of where all these roads go. To I don't know, to have the confidence to tell somebody like, this is a terrible idea. But fast forward to now, and it's particularly over the last several years, and I have told people no. Like, I think probably during CVC, same showroom, or Expo 4 meeting where I met you, like there was a couple who came up to me and they were like, hey, we need an architect for a brewery. And I was like, cool, like let's talk. And 5 minutes into the conversation, all I could think is no, like stop what you're doing. But for them, it's gonna be their second career. And I could tell is they love craft beer. It was so mission driven and not based in reality. That I gave them, I tried without telling them, don't do this. I said, these are all the things you need to do before you pull the trigger on this. And at the end of those things, if you feel like it doesn't make sense, like give me a call, like let's talk about it. Because if you need someone else to like confirm that, I'd be happy to. But people don't like being told no. But there's ways to say it without kind of like telling them you're nuts. But there's still people willing to spend a good bit of money on the wrong ideas. I mean, it's part of what everybody does.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess like the industry is probably going forward going to be healthier for it. Like we don't need people like with, crazy, just crazy ideas that aren't going to play out well to just kind of crash and burn a year later. And then someone else say, look, like, look how poorly this industry is doing. Like, it needs to, everyone needs to be a little sharper and smarter about what they do. And I think, stress raises everybody's game. Granted, we don't want stress to last forever, but I do think it makes us better at what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing more of the breweries that you're working with downscaling a little bit more? Less production, more local focus?
I think it's some are leaning towards diversification of product. Definitely see hemp-based products. They recognize the changing, the changing demographics of the consumers coming in. Definitely see a greater appreciation of food and programming. That their beer alone will not, keep the ship afloat. And for the most part, particularly as it pertains to growth. A lot of what they were doing was based on an idea that they were going to continue growing. They spent money with the idea they were going to continue growing. So a lot of the pullbacks have been because the growth didn't happen. And when you're declining by 1-2% or more, decision making changes versus plus 10%. So we see diversification of that. The food problem or the food aspect of it is tough because kitchens aren't cheap. And if you didn't have that on day one, making a big spend of $500,000 just to get control of something that was in a food truck, maybe you're better off buying, owning your own food truck so you can control whether or not that food truck's going to be open at 4:00 every day, as opposed to the whim of the food truck operator. I do see some of our clients really grabbing hold of the food truck, even though they wouldn't have done it on day one. They, year two, it's a problem that they have to take on so that they can reliably have food offerings exactly when they want it, and adjust the product too.
Yeah.
From a brewery scale standpoint, our successful clients continue to grow. And then we have others that have kind of flatlined and are trying to figure out what that means. And for the first time, we have had clients close their doors. For years, I felt like, I still to this day I think our clients by and large have done better than the industry average. And I feel like maybe we had something to do with that somewhere in there. So
I think you're probably right. There's definitely a difference between we took over this old warehouse and are now a brewery, and we consciously turned this old warehouse into a brewery.
Yeah.
Right.
People who are creating a brand experience are over time going to grab a hold of the public's imagination and their choices of where they want to hang out on a Wednesday night or a Friday night, much more so than that space at the back of an industrial park that has questionable interior experience, but an amazing porter. There's only so many people who are going to fall in love with that porter. Whether that's right or wrong is a different issue. If you're looking for a broader market appeal, you got to check boxes that most people are looking for when they go out, especially when a 20-something doesn't want to spend, $8 on 4 IPAs. That it's like, why can't I just buy one of these drinks and call it a night?
Yeah.
That reminds me of Atwater Brewing when I first started going there, before they opened up the tap room and the rooftop, and before they opened up the second location, where the bar was like next to you. You had to walk in the back door through all the go walk through all the equipment. You know, you could tell what days they've been brewing and what days they hadn't.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that
They got a lot of
makes
different
me think of
experiences
that.
there now.
Yeah.
I've been on the rooftop in the middle of the summertime, and I feel like I don't know how many people who have been there get that experience versus, the inside experience.
Yeah. At the time though, it was it was like exciting because you felt like you were going to some place that nobody knew about.
It's like a
I
speakeasy.
feel, yeah,
It is a little.
again, like the
That roof
speakeasy.
bar is a little. It's like a speakeasy. I like it. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of breweries that I've been to, throughout the country when I'm on vacation, like I've told the story before about we were in Boston and we were going to a brewery and the lady dropping us off in the Uber or Lyft or whatever it was like, I don't think I should drop you off here. I'm like, no, it's okay. I can see the door through the alley. And she's like, are you sure? Or Washington, D.C., where the guy goes, I don't think there's a brewery here. And it was one little tiny sign at the top of a building that had like 3 doors and it just said beer. Like tiniest sign I've ever seen. It shows up in my newsfeed every now and then. And I have to post it. I'm like, if you didn't know that there was a brewery there, you would not have found it.
Yeah, it's a fun card to play of just like we're gonna be this like super secret experience. And if you know, you know. And I think that adds to the allure for some people. It's going to be hard to like hit big numbers with that, but you can do well with it as long as your projections are in line with a smaller market niche that you're aiming for.
Yeah, there's one outside of DC that is in a bike repair shop. I do not remember the name of it, sadly, and I swear it is a bike repair shop first and a brewery second. But they've got like 6 taps and they're really friendly. And there's all these bikes in various states of repair.
I love somebody who's like unlocked an alternative brewery experience where you it's not what you expected, but it's gonna have this like these 1,000 or 10,000 people who think it's the greatest idea ever and will just keep coming back.
Yeah. So, and it sounds like some of those places you've designed are like that. Like this one in Michigan is going to be. I am excited. I'm definitely going to get up there at some point.
Make a pilgrimage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that one sounds like fun. You talked about started with a V out in Vista Brewing. Yeah.
That'll be my next drink on our show here. So here's Imperial Stout.
Oh, nice way to. It's early there in Boston.
It is early, but
I salute you, sir.
I'm not always on a podcast in the middle of the afternoon, so I think it's a fantastic excuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
True story.
But and maybe you can tell I'm drawn to the outdoor stuff like the bike repair shop and the Vista and the other one. But
there's a brewery in Bentonville. Have you been to Bentonville, Arkansas?
I have been to Bentonville a few times. Yes.
There's a brewery that's like in the woods, kind of they've got 2 locations because they're on a bike trail, and
must have been after I've been there.
Yeah, so it's like this, or maybe it's just one of their bars. I'm guessing that it's probably just a satellite tap room of the brewery itself. But yeah, you're on a bike trail, and suddenly there's a bar in the woods.
When I was in Bentonville, like it straddles a county line, and one of them's a dry county, and the other one's not. So it was an interesting experience. I did not have a great beer experience down there, but I'm going to plead that it was a bunch of years ago now, so I don't know.
Things may have changed.
Things may have changed. Exactly.
You can have a great biking experience. It doesn't necessarily equal a great beer experience. Yeah.
Upland Brewing had a few partnerships with, I can't remember, the Big Sour House out of Asheville, North Carolina. They had a partnership with them because Upland Brewing is a large sour house, and Upland has a biking team, and they go out and they do quite a lot of biking, but so did that other place. And so they had a big partnership that involved biking and sour beers.
Nice.
Yeah.
We got a friend who brews at Upland. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Well,
he used to live here, owned a brewery here, is semi-retired to brewing up there because he's got a kid in college. not too far from you.
Yeah, well, probably in Bloomington, and go Hoosiers.
A good year to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I cared 0 for the Hoosiers before. I will probably care 0 for the Hoosiers next year.
Enjoy the moments. You
Yeah,
don't
that's
always
right.
get them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just happy for all the people who do care about them.
I know. It's amazing that it's been 30 years since a team that had never won a national championship won a national championship. Like it's been since 1996, Florida Gators. This is the first time a team has won that had never won before since then. That's nuts.
Yeah,
That's
it's a big
crazy.
deal. And they had just set the record for the losingest team or something like that,
I
too.
know. It's a great worst to first. Yeah.
That's a great way to motivate people.
That's right.
You just never know. The brewery industry needs a transfer portal to change everything.
Feels like that must exist because the brewers move around a little bit.
Oh, they do. I'd be intrigued as to what the brewery transfer portal looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure even they know where they're going to end up sometimes when they
They do not.
when they step into it.
I
okay.
feel like we could keep going for a while. You've done lots of places that I'm sure we could talk about in depth as well. But we are coming up on an hour, and so we're going to start wrapping up. Yeah. And we usually wrap up our show by asking a question that may not be directly related to beer.
Okay.
It might be. But I'm going to go back to a question I haven't asked in a while now. What was the last board game that you played, and did you win?
Last board game I played was Ticket to Ride.
Oh, I love that game.
We just taught the kids. The first time they played, they hated it. And it just reminds me, like, if kids don't know what's going on, they're just going to complain about everything. So teaching them rules to things. But by the time we got done with the first game, they all wanted to play again because then they felt like they didn't like losing because they didn't know how.
Right.
So now they knew how. So we played it again the very next day. It's one of my favorite games. It's great because you can play it with 2 people. And very few board games, I think, you can do that. Yeah.
How old are your kids?
So in our house, we've got a senior, got a 8th grader, and a 6th grader. So we got all the emotions going on quite strong.
Yeah, no kidding. I feel like my kids were probably 8 and 6 when we taught them Ticket to Ride. It might have been a little bit older. And yeah, the youngest one, she just wanted to collect all the colors. The oldest one was starting to get some strategy. Like you could tell which cities he was trying to connect, and we didn't block him or anything.
Yeah. You shut a kid down halfway across the country, it's gonna be pretty upset.
It's just not good. Yeah.
Nice.
So, but yeah, it sounds like they were of the right age to start getting some strategy in there too.
I think so. All of us need a few more board games in our life. Yeah.
Yes.
We need a board game brewery.
Yes.
A lot of breweries have board games.
But they have them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always feel right to take them out and play.
Right. And so Books and Brews is not a brewery. Well, this one's not a brewery. There is a Books and Brews that is a brewery. But and they franchised a lot, and the one near me anyway it's not a brewery, but they have used books, and they have a pretty good pretty good as in large size board game library. They do sell board games and things, and my friend group, we bring ours in because they also have great tables for playing board games on. So yeah, we just go there and hang out for an afternoon.
Yeah, very cool.
So before I ask my question, I'm actually going to answer Rob's question as well, because my friend introduced me to a new game.
Okay.
And it's not really a board game. It's actually like a card game, kind of like Skip-Bo or Phase 10, called Skyjo. Have you heard of it?
I do not know Skyjo.
Oh my gosh. So apparently it just came to America. It was created over in like Denmark or some European country. And a friend had brought it back from Europe and introduced it to my friend. They loved it so much, they started playing with their family, who was in from out of town. By the time their family got home, they had bought it, and it was waiting for them at home. She introduced it to me, and I bought it within like 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I'm obsessed with this game. It's so much fun. It is very similar to like a Phase 10 or a Skip-Bo.
Okay.
But you have to your whole goal is to get the lowest score out of a board of 12.
Okay.
And you have to flip them over without knowing, like decide which ones to flip over without knowing what's there. There's a lot more to it, but
Sure.
Yeah.
go and check
All
it
right.
out, Sky Joe. It's so
Okay.
much fun.
All right.
Before,
I'll put a
before
plug
we
in.
leave this,
Go
before
ahead.
we leave this topic, I didn't realize we were going to have game questions. So I'm not only an architect, I did create a party game, a card game called Obituary. Look
Okay.
it up. It's in its infancy, but it's a mix between charades and Pictionary. You get a death and a person, and you have to either act it out for everybody to guess who the person who died was and how they died, or you have to draw it out. So, anyways,
Nice.
yeah. So it's been a fun creation. Creating something for the retail world is very, very different than designing for someone's facility. That's been a fun challenge to take on. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I was going to put forth not one that I created, but Flip 7 is extremely popular and out there.
Flip 7.
It's a card game, and that one plays with a bunch of people at once. And it's very similar to Blackjack, but it's a push your luck type of a game. A lot of fun.
Okay.
I'll recommend it. There's 12 12s, 11 11s, 10 10s, and as soon as you duplicate a number, you're out for that round.
Okay.
And then the
I like
first
it.
one to 200 wins. Yeah, and if you get 7 number cards in front of you, then you win that round and you get a bonus point.
Flip 7.
Flip 7. It's a good one. It's quite popular. We play it at trivia a lot because it doesn't require too much thinking.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all right, Wendy,
Wendy, it's your turn.
Okay, so we talked a lot about beer spaces today. What is your favorite beer style?
Depends on the season. I don't know. I do love a good red ale.
Me too.
Yeah, lambics. Something about that in the summertime, like it hits like, and there's a lot of memories that are tied to a beer flavor for me, and so I go more that way. Like, what is it? What thoughts is it triggering? Yeah, and honestly, I love a brown ale. I feel like people need to make more brown ales or ESBs. Like, just a lot. I don't know. I think the public doesn't have a lot of awareness. Like, those are two names that don't like scream by me
Right.
to the public, and you got to do a lot of explaining. Like brown. Oh, really? But I like give me those all day long too. Yeah.
I did see that Mild Madness is coming up in the Detroit area again. So if you're going to be in Detroit I think in March, the Mild Madness is going on where a ton of breweries brew a mild beer. So you can get down the trail and try them all out.
Very good.
It sounds like you're going back and forth to Detroit a fair bit, so maybe you can get in on that.
Yeah, not quite monthly, but yeah. Delta miles kick on. Yeah.
That's right. So okay, that has done it for this. Stephen, do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about or plug? There's a brewery opening in Michigan in June of 2026.
Yeah. If you can find your way north of Detroit this summer, please do. We've got a brewery for Pine House Pizza opening in San Antonio later this spring. A big, a food and beverage concept for Still Austin Whiskey is opening next door to their facility later this spring. Charleston later this year. There's quite a few. Go see Southern Tale in Little Rock. That's a very good one. Sedona Beer Company, one of our clients over in Arizona. Yeah, lots of fun to be had out there.
Yeah, sounds like it. Wendy, you got anything coming up you want to talk about?
Not yet. I've got a couple more months of being in hibernation, and then I can get back out there.
Yeah, I hear that.
So, I guess that's not true. We do have Winter Beer Fest coming up here in Michigan. So I'm excited to see all the posts about that since I cannot get the time off to go there. But and I went for a lot of years. It's a great time. I love it, but I'm too old to spend that much time in the cold. At this,
I hear that. Yeah, I think the Shelf Ice Festival that we talked to Mark Lasbury back about is going on this weekend, and Frigid Digits is going on next weekend, maybe out in Indianapolis.
that's your outdoor beer festival, right?
Those are some, yeah, that is the outdoor one.
Yeah.
Like this weekend, we're looking at temps in the 60s, so I don't know. But next weekend, who knows? It could be anything.
Right. Yeah. Us Midwesterners, we're crazy with that. Like, we don't even care. We'll sit out on the patio
No, you
and drink a
don't.
beer in the 20-degree weather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you haven't. Your blood hasn't thinned like ours has. Yeah.
Apparently.
I don't think mine's ever been that thin.
As far as show stuff, we don't have anything scheduled yet, but we're working on something for the next show, which would be the 27th of February. And March 13th, we are going to be talking to Nick Lesagor of Exit 12 Homebrew. Stephen, you mentioned that you had tried homebrewing or brewing before. He is, I believe, the current president or vice president of BrewTubers, which are an online homebrew group. So supporting each other in the homebrewing. So we will be talking to them March 13th. I am looking forward to that.
Me too, because I definitely need some tips as well.
Right. So other than that, I think that is all we have. And so I will go out like we always go out and say, whatever you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft.
Cheers.
Cheers.